we create memories. You mentioned memories. We create that experience and memories. It's our job to do that. You don't know who's sitting at your table. You don't know if that couple has saved money for the last 6 months just because they can come and eat here. You don't know that. We were really busy one night. This was a couple of months ago, and the flight bar, as soon as you walk in, was really crowded, and this 2 guys and a girl come in, and they said, we want a table for 3, and told them it's going to be about 30 minutes, so they decided to wait, and they had a couple of drinks, and it became 45 minutes, and close to an hour, and they got pretty upset and told the waitress, you know what, we're just leaving. I want to buy a couple of bottles of wine. We're leaving. And the waitress was a new waitress. She went and told the manager. Manager went by, apologized. You know what, there's a table getting up. We'll get you down right away. Got them down. They ordered 2 bottles of Screaming Eagle, which is $18,000 a bottle. With no idea who they are. So that's
they were a walk-in.
That's the kind of crowd we get. So that's what I tell my staff is, hey, you know what? You don't know. The waiter made it. They gave the waiter made $11,000 tip on that.
$11,000 tip.
And God bless these people. You know, hopefully they come back. But it's you got to make sure you're at your best of whoever's sitting at the table.
Yeah,
always.
All right, and welcome to the One Shot Podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, or if this clip has been cut and posted onto Instagram, you notice something in front of us. I made a cake for Darren. I want you all to. Darren's birthday actually was recently took place. I think we're hitting
25th.
The first triple digit, right?
Yeah. 100.
100. So Darren is officially 100 years old. We always give Darren a bad time. But today we have a guest that is long overdue coming on the show. A guest that talk about taking advantage of your one shot at this life and creating and building something and following your passion and understanding your purpose and taking care of people and treating people the right way. All the things that we talk about, this man is like, if you're looking in the dictionary of that, this man's picture is right next to it. So we are truly honored to have Chef Samir join us today. Now, Chef Samir is the head chef and owner of Nick and Sam's.
Correct.
If you are in, I would say, if you are in like the South, if you live below the Mason-Dixon line, you know what Nick and Sam's is, and it's located in Uptown Dallas. It is now. Tiffany and I have lived all over the country, and we have, been fortunate enough to play for some really great organizations and go to some great restaurants. Kind of some of it, comes with the territory. And we got to Dallas, and we went with Tony. Brought us the first time. That was the first time we went, and literally, it wasn't even a contest, because one of the questions people ask, like, "Oh, what's your favorite restaurant? All the places you've been." Like,
well, keep in mind, you've lived in Chicago,
which is a notoriously good food
Miami
city.
Yeah,
right?
Go through the cities you lived in to put some context.
So Cleveland, I mean, you've got great French fries and gravy there.
Hot dogs.
Chicago. Houston, Houston's great barbecue, also got some great steakhouses. And then Miami, which, I think I would say this. I was less impressed with the Miami food scene. I was disappointed. It's built up to be something that's extraordinary. It was good, don't get me wrong, but then we come to Dallas and we go to Nick and Sam's, and it was like we'd never been to a nice restaurant before. It was like that much. And part of it, one, for sure, the food was just better. And then two is just the overall atmosphere and service. Mm-hmm. And so today we're going to dig in with Chef Samir about how you built that brand, how you built the restaurant, and then obviously what you're doing now. And if you're ever in Nick and Sam's, I don't think you could go there any night that it's open and not see somebody that's recognizable, whether you see them on TV or listen to them. I mean,
yeah, like Tyler Klutz.
I mean, just
Darren Woodson.
Just every third day I'm there. But Chef Samir, first of all, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. This is amazing. Sorry Darren couldn't be here. He couldn't be here, but hey, you know what? Thank you for the kind words. You guys.
I was going to say, how does that feel hearing somebody who's literally been all over the country, lived all over the country, and says your restaurant is the best he's ever had?
I can't let it go to my head. That's not me. But I appreciate it. It means a lot. We just celebrated 23 years, April 20th.
Amazing.
It's been a great ride. Our first few years was tough. It was to get the people to believe in us. But I think it's taken off. Not just me. It's been a bunch of people that brought us all together. But it's been amazing, and I cannot complain. People keep asking me how things going, and I'm really living the dream. I got the kick-ass job. I got a couple of bosses who really don't care what I do. I turn it to a Mexican place tomorrow. Hey, money keeps coming in. That's fine. Hey, you know what? I got a great gig, and I love what I do, and I've met so many cool people through the restaurant, and I get to cook amazing food every day for people.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Couple things. Number one, Tyler alluded to this cake. It is not fake. That is a real. How tall is that?
7 layers.
7
it's a
layers.
rainbow cake. You cut into it, it's all different colors.
When we cut into this thing, I'm sure it's gonna be even more amazing than. But that thing is unbelievable. Number one. Number two. Go ahead. No, finish that.
And then you got some raspberry sauce and the best gummy bears in that little bag
Oh,
out there
man.
to top it off with.
So we're going to be eating good, basically, when we wrap up here. We're going to be eating
Thanks,
really
Darren.
good.
Appreciate you.
Except Tyler's on 75 hard, so he
serious
can't.
deal is
Yeah.
I would break 75 hard for this. Like I'm contemplating
That's
right
how
now.
good it is.
I'm only 60. I only got 15 more days left, and I would break it. For this.
And then number two, I'll back up everything Tyler said. Now, I don't run in the circles Tyler does, so I've only been to Nick and Sam's once, actually, to be honest with you. I'm a West Texas kid. Like, give me some potatoes and a steak, and I'm good to go. Like, I'm not a high, I love food, but everything he said, I'll back up 100%. If you're in the DFW area, you have to get to Nick and Sam's like tonight, which they're probably packed, so you probably can't, but as soon as you can, because everything Tyler said, and you mentioned it, you said you're lucky, you're fortunate, you're appreciative, and it really does show. I know that sounds cliche, but it really does show in your work. And in your food, and the atmosphere of the environment. It really does show what you guys are doing, how passionate you are about what you guys are doing.
Well, I think it's our culture. I think the big thing is you care. Mm-hmm. You care about the food you make, you care about the people you serve, care about the restaurant itself. I think it goes a long way, and then that's the bottom line. Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Chef, let's go back, because you've got an incredible story, and at the end of the episode, we'll talk a little bit more about how people can learn more about your journey. But let's go back, because your journey, it's not like, hey, I came from a family that just handed a restaurant to me. I mean, your journey is incredible. And so let's go back to the very beginning and how you came to be in Dallas and do the things that you're doing on such a high level.
Well, it all started off my mother. My mother was an amazing cook, and she always cooked for me, and as you can see it, I love to eat. So that's what started it all. I used to help my mom. My mom used to have cooking classes at home, and I used to be her little sous chef and help her, just help her around the house with everything. And I got really interested and started working in a couple of restaurants in India. And I wanted to go to cooking school. My sister lived in New York at that time, and she still does, I'm sorry. And she says, why not go to the best school in the world, which is the Culinary Institute of America, upstate New York. And I thought about it. The year before I went to school, my dad had studied in UCLA and brought the whole family to Disney in Florida. We did Disney for a few days, and then we went to Santa Barbara to visit my dad's best friend, Uncle Bob. And we were staying there a few days, and there was one day we were outside, and Uncle Bob comes in. He says, Samir, come into the kitchen. I want you to meet somebody. So I went into the kitchen. This lady's standing there. And he goes, Samir, do you know who this is? I said, no, I don't. He says, this is Julia Child. Julia Child was his neighbor. And it's like, I was shocked. And I sat and talked to Julia Child for an hour.
And how old are you at this point?
I was 19,
19,
20,
okay.
somewhere right there.
So you were already on the path, right? It's like
I already wanted to go.
Yeah.
And she told me about the CIA, called the Culinary Institute, CIA. Sat there for an hour, talked to her. I went back home, applied to the CIA, got in. First 3 months in the program, she's there signing books. So me and my buddies, we buy a couple of books. We stand in line. I put my book down. She puts her head up and she says, Samir, how wonderful to see you. Blew my mind. Mostly blew my friends' minds. Whoa, what's going on here? Fast forward, we opened Nick and Sam's, and we were talking about French fries earlier, but we opened Nick and Sam's. We did a private luncheon for Ron Chapman, and Julia Child was one of his guests. And I went up to her and I told her a little bit about the story, and she said, Samir, I'm so sorry, I don't remember you, and I don't remember the story, but she picked up a French fry and said, these are the best French fries I ever had in my life. So that's my little Julia Child story.
That's great.
Moving there, went to the Culinary Institute, lived in New York for 9 years after that. And I got a call to open up Nick and Sam's about 23 years ago. And I had $600 in my bank account. Got into my car. I said, let me try Dallas. Never been to Dallas. So let me see what happens here. Came here and things changed. The restaurant, met my wife, Texas girl, West Texas girl. 2 kids. Fast forward, I'm sitting right here with you guys.
That's amazing.
All right. The great thing about this podcast, that was a great overview, but we've got time.
Okay.
And I want to break this down.
Let's do it.
Because a lot of things stuck out to me in that overview. And now, Tyler, I know you're thinking the exact same thing. I want to go back, selfishly, I want to go back to like childhood when you said your mother was a fantastic cook. You always helped her. I've actually got a 2-year-old son. I've got a 5-year-old son and a 2-year-old son. My 5-year-old has always been in the sports, balls, whatever, from before he could even walk. My 2-year-old, though, it's the most bizarre thing. Cooking is his thing. Ever since he could sit up, he's wanted to be in the kitchen. He's wanted to help my wife or me, whoever's cooking. Is that how you were? Is this something you always remember doing?
I think eating was the first thing, then cooking. I think the eating part, I'm serious, the eating part got me to enjoy food, to learn more about food. And also my father had studied in UCLA, would take us out to nice restaurants in India. And I would get to eat gourmet meals. I would get to do French food. A lot of kids don't experience that, the little tableside service and stuff like that I really enjoyed. And again, in a nutshell, I really, really enjoyed eating, and that's what made me started cooking. The first thing I ever made for my parents, I remember I made mashed potato sandwiches. And they told me down the road, they told me it was the most disgusting thing they ever ate in their life. But
is that a thing? Because I've never heard of it. Or was that just like, hey, I want to try something?
No, it's not a thing.
Literally mashed potatoes and bread stuck together? Nice.
But it's not a thing. But
sounds pretty good to me.
Hey, listen, I could probably make a thing out of it now. But
I bet you could.
At that time, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But I just started experimenting with stuff. I would love to cook. Even in school, when I was in like 7th grade, there was a home class where I was the only boy in there. And
strategically.
And down the road, I realized, cooking's not a bad thing, but I really enjoyed it. People made fun of me. When I went to the culinary, and it was my first time in America to go to any school, our 3rd class it was food, like purchasing and identification of products. So there's this big old table in front of you, and they put all this stuff in front of you. Red cabbage, rosemary, bib lettuce, stuff I've never ever seen in my life in India. Never ever seen it. And that was the only class I got a C- in. And when the grades were handed out, I had a classmate who was sitting next to me, saw my grade, and laughed and made a big joke to the whole class that I got a C- because I couldn't identify certain products. And I went back to my room that night, and I was talking to my roommate, Chris, and I told him, I said, you know what, I'm going to keep in touch with this guy for the rest of my life. And he's on my Facebook. I still keep in touch with him. I know what he's doing. You know, that motivated me to get better. You know, it motivated me to say, hey, you know what? I'm a foreign student. I'm not from this country, but I know I can cook better than a lot of other people in this country. And that's what I try to believe in. There's no motivation factor for me on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you have someone like a boss who's motivating you to get better, push yourself. I don't have that. I push myself on different degrees. I think of different things to push myself every day to get better. And it's worked out so far. So
yeah, let's dig a little bit more into that. I still want to jump back to a couple things from your story, but being a chef and running a restaurant, it's a grind. People think like, oh, hey, yeah, you show up for dinner hour, you cook, and you go. I mean, the prep work, the planning, the training, you know, running your staff through, okay, hey, what's on the menu today? What are the specials? What are the things that you need to know? I mean, when typically does a day start? Like if you're preparing for a big dinner, a big night, like a Friday, Saturday night, you know, in Dallas. I mean, prep starts early, right?
it does. Pastry girls come in at 5 o'clock in the morning. The hot, like all the rest of the food prep guys come in around 8 o'clock. Chef comes in around, I have a chef there, he comes in around 11. And then a couple of sous chefs come in about 12, 1 o'clock. Then the main staff, the dinner staff, come in around 4 o'clock.
Okay.
But there's a lot of work to do. We have a really, really big menu. Whatever's printed is printed, but we have a lot of off the menu features we do. So there is a lot of work. Everyone's always said a steakhouse concept is high food cost, low labor. Ours is high food cost, high labor, high expenses, everything.
Yes.
But I think it's become worth it. You know, it's nothing better than going to a restaurant and then you look at a menu, wow, they have a big menu, and then you also come back with 25 other things that we can serve on the menu for you. So it makes it very special for the diner because there's plenty of restaurants in town that have small menus, and I'm not knocking them, but you go there 2 times and then, hey, what else am I going to eat now the 3rd time? So we try to make it exciting. I try to develop different things all the time to have diners talk about it and to experience it, because that's what dining is all about. It's great to have the same thing every day, you know, every time you go there, but to give them something new, to really blow their mind, it's just something. Me and my chef were talking about, this was a few months ago, and we wanted to do something. I apologize, this was last Father's Day, and we wanted to do something for Father's Day. And so we were making these mini hot dogs. And what we do is we have so much Wagyu on our menu, we trim all the Wagyu after we cut it. We take that and we make a hot dog out of it, small little hot dogs. And they're amazing. They're amazing hot dogs. So I said, why don't we do a big hot dog? The chef looks at me and says, what do you mean, like a foot long? I said, no, 2 foot long. So now we have a 2 foot long hot dog. It's about this big. And it comes with all the toppings you can do on a Chicago dog and all the toppings you can do on a New York dog. And people are amazed by it because it's just something we came up. I'm not going to take credit for it because my chef makes the hot dogs. His name is John. John's amazing at making hot dogs. But it's something new we do.
Yeah.
And that's the motivation that, you know, you say, okay, hey, I don't have anybody pushing me. So I was mentioning, like, it becomes a grind because of the hours, the amount of work, the amount, not only that, but even the creatives, like mental exhaustion, right? Because you're constantly thinking of, okay, how do I change this, or how do I make it better? How do I make the experience different than this diner's last time? So what is it that motivates you to continue to evolve the menu, to tweak the menu, to change it, enhance the experience? Because again, if you go in, what's crazy about Nick and Sam's, and I left this out in the beginning, but what's crazy is you go and there's always that mountaintop experience the first time you experience like a high, like a really nice restaurant. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever had. And without fail, and again, I'm pulling Nick and Sam's out of this category, but it's always, you go back expecting that same like euphoria that you experience the first time you go. And it's always a letdown. It's always like, man, it was good, but it wasn't like I remember it. Mm-hmm. Nick and Sam's, literally, because of the things that you do, the unique twist that you put on things. And like you said, a lot of times they do things that are like a very like common type of food, but it's the Nick and Sam's touch on it, right? And so every time it's like the experience is elevated every single time. And so, I mean, what is it that motivates you kind of on a day-to-day basis, even kind of in those dog days that are just kind of just like, all right, we got to grind through this?
I've always felt that we are not good enough. I always walk in, I look at my shrimp cocktail, and I'm saying, you know what? It's a good shrimp cocktail, but I don't think it's the best. I think that's what gets me going. You know, people have different tastes, you know, on a nightly basis. Some people will not like something because of the flavors or whatever, but I take it to heart, whether they're right or they're wrong. But if it comes back in the kitchen and someone says, hey, we didn't like the chicken, or we didn't like this, okay, you know what? Let's see how they're cooking it. Let's see what we're doing to it, because that's what's going to make us better. You said it, you know, you just said it. Is it good enough? To me, a lot of times it's not good enough. We can make it better.
Yeah.
And that's what I strive to do all the time.
Man, I love that.
Yeah. Going back to your story, you said you born in India, correct?
Yeah, where in India?
I was born in Delhi, but I grew up in Bombay, now known as Mumbai.
Okay.
It was Bombay.
What is life like in India growing up? Because you moved to the States at what age?
College, so 20,
yeah,
19,
about
20?
21, 22.
Okay, so what is life like in India? I mean, we hear stories, we see it on TV, but what is life truly like living there?
You know, I had a very comfortable life. My parents did well. My dad did well in business. So we lived a good life. Living in Bombay was living in New York.
Okay.
It was a very metropolitan city. It wasn't very different, but nothing had really come back. Well, when I was leaving, that's when all the multinationals started building companies in India and all that, and that's when you saw, you know, for example, you know, Coca-Cola wasn't there when I was there. You know, it came in after I left, so it became far more metropolitan after I left than when I was there.
More global, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. More global, yeah. More influenced than it was. It's a beautiful country. It's, you know, we were fortunate enough to travel all over India. I remember, you know, this is stuck in my mind. My parents took us to the Taj Mahal to see the Taj Mahal. And we got there really late, and they were already closed. And there's no electricity. There wasn't any electricity in the Taj Mahal at that time. And I remember my father knew someone, so they took us, you know, with flashlights to give us a tour of the Taj Mahal at night. And it was pretty amazing, because what stuck in my head is when we went to the grand, where the king sat, you know, the floor, they put the flashlights face down onto the marble. And I remember this because it stuck in my head, that the whole marble floor lit up. The light went through the marble. It was amazing to see that.
Wow.
No way.
And the second thing was they took us on a horse ride, where I fell off the horse and I vowed never to get on a horse again. Those are the two things that have been stuck in my mind.
So the whole time he's driving from New York to Texas, he goes, they better not make me get on a horse.
I want to take a quick break and thank our partners, Sleep Number, and highlight a couple things they're doing. Guys, these Sleep Number beds are unreal. The technology that they've created, the feedback that it gives you on your sleep. I've got the app opened up right here. They tell you things like your heart rate variability, your breathing rate, all these type metrics and feedback to give you so that you can improve your quality of sleep. They're all over the place. You can go and check yourself out at Sleep Number store wherever you live. Go to sleepnumber.com as well. They've got great resources on there. We just talked about this not too long ago. They have a whole blog section, all these articles, things that you can improve your health. Sleep Number is definitely changing the game when it comes to bedding. So get yourself to Sleep Number, get yourself to sleepnumber.com and check them out. Now back to the episode. What about you personally, goals, aspirations? What did you think? I know you enjoyed cooking, but what did you want to do one day? Where did you see life ending up for you?
You know, I never did. Never did till I think I met my wife and had children. I think when I met my wife, I kind of realized, hey, you know what? Now I have a responsibility. I was pretty, again, driving from New York, even living in New York. I was broke most of the time, just living in New York, but I was footloose and fancy free. I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Were you in the city or upstate still?
I moved into the city and I got a rent-controlled studio for $700 a month.
Wow.
And it was right outside Central Park, so it was pretty cool. But
that doesn't exist anymore.
No, not anymore. But coming to Texas and then getting the job, and even my first couple of years, I hate to say this, but I looked at it as a job. I didn't look at it as my future. And I slowly realized after, that this is big. Yeah. This is pretty big of what I'm doing here. And Nick and Sam's at one point, I would say about 3 or 4 years into when we opened, we sat down in a room and talked about business and said, hey, you know what, we're not doing too well. What cuts do we need to make? What do we need to adjust? What are we doing? And, but a few years later I think we started getting better at what we did, and then Super Bowl hit. And Super Bowl kind of changed everything for us. Ever since Super Bowl, touch wood, we've been the place that people want to go to. Yeah. And but we can be the place. We can always be the place that people want to go to, but if we don't keep up on what we're doing, starting a restaurant is easy. Maintaining a restaurant is it's really, really hard. Maintaining it from the front of the house to the back of the house. It's
let's dig in it. You said you were in New York City. You moved to Texas with $600 in your account to start Nick and Sam's, right?
Yeah, I was just a chef. I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, walk us through that.
Yeah,
like how that started.
That.
How someone reached out to you in New York about starting a restaurant in Dallas.
So I used to work for a restaurant called Fuzi. Now I know there's a Fuzi here now, but this was the real original Fuzi. This was 92, 90, somewhere right there. They had about 20, 21 stores all over U.S. The original store was in Dallas. The Colombo brothers, they started Fuzi. So I worked for them in New York, and Patrick Colombo and Philip Romano started Nick and Sam's. Being Phil Romano's son, Sam, Patrick Colombo's son, Nick, and that's how they came up with the name. Patrick called me in New York and said, hey, Samir, would you like to come and open steakhouse? And that's when I decided, things were going well for me. I was working in a nice place, a place called Heartland Brewery, and I opened a couple of breweries for them too. And yeah, I was happy, but I said, you know what, let me take a chance. And that's when I decided to drive out here, take a look at it, and it's been great so far.
So was it in the same building that you're currently in when it opened?
Yes.
Same building. Gosh.
So talking about the building, the Lowry, it was Lowry's before that.
Okay.
And before that, it was a morgue.
Huh. That's what the drive-through was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. Places has something.
I was gonna say, do you ever see any ghosts at night?
So I've been seeing and dealing with stuff for 23 years. And there's nothing bad in there. Everything that is in there is so good because nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing's ever happened to anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's good spirits in there.
Yeah.
It's
Interesting.
There's plenty of stuff that has happened that I now just okay.
Laugh at. Yeah.
That's the morgue.
So the idea of Nick and Sam's from the beginning, right? Because you walk in and it kind of feels like you're transformed back in time, right? It's kind of that 50s Mad Men type of feel. That's how it's lit. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So has it always been kind of that style, or has the ambiance evolved?
It has evolved. I think we were really, really classical when we opened, real classic steakhouse, Frank Sinatra, stuff like that. I think we've changed the decor a little bit with the art, with the carpet, with the paintings. We're trying to evolve.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to be just with the food and with the service. I think you have to evolve in terms of ambiance too.
Yeah.
You know, the music we play in the bar is totally separate from what we play in the dining room. So, you know, we want to create energy.
Yeah.
You know, the music creates energy. The crowd creates energy. There's nothing worse than walking into a restaurant where it's blah.
Yep.
You know, and that we try not to have that.
Well,
So and I want to do down the future. I want to do other stuff to the restaurant where, you know, we feel we are part. We are moving with the trends, and that's what I want to be at.
So talking about trends, how has just the overall landscape of restaurant? I mean, that's it. Let me back up. What is it? What's the movie 100-Foot Journey? Is it 100-Foot Journey? And how just cooking has evolved since you went to school. I mean, are there new techniques? Are there new ways of doing things that have evolved, or is it still like, all right, no, like there's the base foundation of cooking and that's it, and that's whatever your flavor is, or has things changed?
I think things have changed drastically, but I think the foundation is still there. The foundation of food, I feel, is flavor. Okay, that's what food is. How you cook it and what you add to it and the different substances that go with it, those are the trends, you know. But the bottom line is, just like cooking a steak. Cooking a steak is, to me, you start with the best product, then you don't have to doctor it.
Yeah.
You know, you start with the best, you know you're already 90% there.
Yeah.
And then the little things you add to it with your sauce. And we use salt and pepper. That's it. Nothing else on our steaks. And there's salt and pepper. Hey, I pay a pretty penny for those steaks, but I know I'm giving the best to my guest.
Yeah.
And I'm already halfway there.
How do you find that? You talked about the sourcing class, and you're like, I don't know what this is, but sourcing products, like sourcing your meat, how do you find it? Because, I mean, you've got, an A5 that's off the charts. What's the one where you serve it like sashimi and then you cook it on the rock?
We have,
all different.
7 of those different types of Japanese beef that we can serve on the rock.
Okay.
But initially, we never had all the Wagyu beef. We kind of evolved with that.
Yeah.
But, our basic steaks, I went with, our meat plant is Allen Brothers out of Chicago. And I try to go to Chicago once or twice a year. And I work with with the butchers. And, a lot of our cuts, we've cut together. And I kind of sit with my person there at Allen Brothers, and I talk to her and I say, I want this much age on it. This is the way I want it aged, whether it's dry age or wet age. And we go over that process, and it has, with every steak on my menu, has a different age, has a different process to before it comes to us at Nick and Sam's.
Man. How do you begin finding those? Like, how do you find the sources of it? Because, where you get your sushi, which, by the way, still the best sushi I've ever had, and I'm a big sushi connoisseur, and the sushi that you do is next level. But how do you find those? To me, it's like, all right, well, you go to Marketplace or Central Market or so. You know what I mean? Like, that's just such a whole new world to me that I just don't understand how you say, okay, who is the best producer of this beef or this fish or, this salmon? Or
I think it's a restaurant thing. You talk amongst different chefs. You find out who is the best. There's a benchmark for stuff. It's just Allen Brothers is someone that a lot of people cannot afford to have on their menus. But again, I've always started with the best. I don't mind paying the pretty penny for it, but in a way, I don't mind charging for it either. Yeah. I won't gouge the guest, but I still have to make money on it. We've been blessed where, through this turmoil of last couple of years with COVID and everything, prices going up, I've changed my prices 2 times. Mm-hmm. And right now, I'm taking a little beating, but I can't do that to the guest. Yeah. I can't keep raising prices. It's just not healthy, Man. We have a lot of people coming in through the door every day, and I'm thankful for that. But it's very easy for me to raise that $1 or $2. Mm-hmm. People notice that. A lot of people think they don't, but I know people notice it. Yeah. And it's not fair to my guest. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've got a food question, but since you opened the door there about the pandemic, the restaurant industry was hit hard, probably harder than any other industry. When that initially went down in 2020, how did Nick and Sam's, how were you guys affected initially?
It was tough. For a few weeks we were closed. We did only to-go, and we're not a to-go restaurant. Mm-hmm. We are an experience. Yes. When you come to Nick and Sam's, and so it was tough. We did a little bit, try to keep our head above water. I made sure all my kitchen staff were paid. I made sure all my managers were paid. Whoever we could pay, I paid. Mm-hmm. I took on the responsibility of feeding a lot of frontline workers. Mm-hmm. We did that. I've always said, take care of the locals. Mm-hmm. The locals will drive your business in hard times. And we believed in that. And, Friday, Saturday, Sundays is pretty much a local. All the locals come out. Mm-hmm. And we try to take care of them. And during the pandemic, once we were open, they all took care of us. They all came back. We have been busy ever since then.
Really?
It's been crazy. And God bless everyone who's come in and patronized us. It's been great. But that's what you got to do.
Yeah. Did you ever think early on in the pandemic, did you ever think, we're not going to survive this? Did it ever get to that point?
No, because the people who didn't survive either didn't care. Mm. And again, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but I've always believed that we get through stuff. We get through different restaurants coming to town, posing as a threat or as competition. We've done all that. We've gone through that, and there's still people coming into town, and great, come into town. Yeah. But we do what we do. Yeah. We believe in what we do, and I believe that we do it well, that we can do well.
Yeah, and I mean, testament to y'all is you have truly taken care of your people for so long. It's no surprise that when there's a time that's challenging, like it's not even a second thought for the people that you've served for years. I'll say, okay, because even in those times, I mean, Samir and his team, it was very transparent by those that still went into the restaurant, still supported y'all. In really hard times, you still served them. Like, it was crazy. Like, when everyone's like, get what I can, get what I can, get what I can to survive, Nick and Sam's at that time was like, okay, like finally, like a taste of the old world, right? Yeah. And like they're still generous and still cooking great products and still serving and still doing all the things. And that's a testament in the confidence in your processes and the confidence in your people, and then in the confidence in your customers as well, because very easily people panic and it's like, all right, I got to get what I can while I can, because if I don't, I'm not going to survive. It's like, no, like we're going to do what we do. And you did. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me that you guys have been slammed ever since.
Yeah, it was, but there were tough times too. There were tough times because, people will walk in and they see a lot of people there and be scared.
Sure.
Hey, listen, I don't want to be here. We got to leave. Or why aren't people wearing masks? It's just, I told my staff, either all of us wear masks or none of us wear masks. And if there was one person who said they wanted to wear a mask, everyone would wear a mask.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I wanted our guests to be comfortable, and it was at one point it was a crapshoot. You didn't know which side to go on, but we've gotten through it.
Yeah.
It was a little tough at the beginning, but thank God. Hopefully this is all behind us.
Yeah. Food is it's a fact, and we talked about this. We had the Traeger CEO on a few months back, and we talked about this. Yes, they're selling a product, but they're really selling an experience and memories, if you will. And that's what food is. It's fascinating because you get people together from all different walks of life, and you just enjoy food together, and everybody's connected, and experience really is the best word for that.
Yeah.
True, and I say that to our staff all the time is, we create memories. You mentioned memories. We create that experience and memories. It's our job to do that. You don't know who's sitting at your table. You don't know if that couple has saved money for the last 6 months just because they can come and eat here. Yeah. You don't know that. We were really busy one night. This was a couple of months ago, and the flight bar, as soon as you walk in, was really crowded, and this 2 guys and a girl come in, and they said, we want a table for 3, and told them it's going to be about 30 minutes, so they decided to wait, and they had a couple of drinks, and it became 45 minutes and close to an hour, and they got pretty upset and told the waitress, you know what, we're just leaving. I want to buy a couple of bottles of wine. We're leaving. And the waitress was a new waitress. She went and told the manager. Manager went by, apologized. You know what, there's a table getting up. We'll get you down right away. Got them down. They ordered 2 bottles of Screaming Eagle, which is $18,000 a bottle. With no idea who they are. So that's
they were a walk-in.
Walk-in. That's the kind of crowd we get. So that's what I tell my staff is, hey, you know what? You don't know. The waiter made it. They gave the waiter made $11,000 tip on that.
$11,000 tip.
And God bless these people. Hopefully they come back. But it's you got to make sure you're at your best of whoever's sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Always. Because it's important it might be just another table to us, but it's important to that guest that, hey, I'm here. I want to have a good time.
For those young people that are just getting into business in whatever industry you're in, really listen to that story. I think you got to grab onto that, because you never know if your direct customer, if you don't know who they are, if that direct customer is going to buy, a $1 million product from you, or on the other side of it, someone has saved up for 6 months for an anniversary or something that's really, really important to them, and they saved up and they literally it made their year, or it made their marriage, something they've never done. And then that person tells somebody, and then that person tells somebody, and then that person, and now you've got that person that's coming in and spending $18,000 on a bottle of wine, right? So again, and what Nick and Sam's does, and what Samir has instilled in his team, is every single person that comes in. We just sent, and Samir took such good care of. We just sent some of our dear friends. It was kind of the same deal. It was like, it was a big deal for them to go to Nick and Sam's, and they, grew up in the country, and that was just not something, and they still talk about it. And you talk about memories and experience, and I was really lucky to experience some cool things in my career while I was playing. But if you ask me, all right, hey, what are your top 3 moments in Dallas? I would say all 3 of them would surround one of our friends coming into town and us going to Nick and Sam's, because that's the only place we'd go. Like, our rule was, hey, we'll buy you tickets and we'll take you to dinner. and we only went to Nick and Sam's when people would come in and visit. And literally every single story that I tell about, hey, my memories when I was playing was, we were at dinner with our friends and they brought out the cotton candy dessert that's lit up, and Marshawn Lynch comes over and was like, "What's up, boss? You gonna eat that?" And like takes my cotton candy. There's the experience is everything.
Yeah.
Is everything.
Well, didn't y'all go after games? Wasn't it a routine thing after games?
Yeah, well, every Thursday we'd go. Every Thursday
okay.
in the bar. And so we'd watch Thursday Night Football. Tony would talk about golf for like 2.5 hours.
Tony Romo, for those of you. No.
He still talks about golf.
Even more so. I was talking. Yeah. We went to an event with him this last week, and I always joke like every single time. The last at least 15 times I've been with Tony is 14 of the 15 times I walk into the room and Tony's is doing his half swing and his hands just like this every single time. He's talking to somebody about the backswing right here every single time. And I love it. It's like, all right, same old Tony, same old. But I guess it pays off. He just won the Club Court Challenge. So
he won the
so he tied for first.
All right.
So yeah, he did well.
You mentioned
he just had a birthday recently, right?
20th or the 21st.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so a few days ago, yeah.
He didn't come to Nick and Sam's, but I know he had a birthday. I know where he went.
All right, I want to take a quick minute to talk about our partner, Choctaw Casino and Resort. We are really, really humbled and grateful to be a partner for them. If you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you've heard how great the resort is there, how great the casino is, the new expansion. They've doubled in size, 3,000 new slots. They've got unbelievable sports bar. They've got unbelievable restaurants, unbelievable movie theaters, arcades for kids. It is endless, the things that they've not only improved but added. But it's just the experience that they provide is second to none. Choctaw Nation has done an incredible job with the community, with philanthropy, with support. They have just done incredible things. So we are extremely humbled and grateful to partner with Choctaw Casino and Resort. Make sure, I know you know it, but it's just a short drive up 75. Go check them out. And now back to the episode.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, before you get there, you talked about that $11,000 tip. I was a waiter one summer, and I got a $20 tip one time and thought I'm
retired.
I thought that was the greatest day of my life.
Play ever. The walkout music. I'm out.
That was, we had a waiter there was a guest that came in, this was a few years ago, and their check was $69,000 or $64,000. And he rounded up to $100,000 to make it a tip.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, it was 2 people.
It was 3 people.
Oh, seriously?
And they bought Ace of Spades for everyone in the bar, and they
oh my
night.
gosh! Yeah. But that's the point right there. Food makes you do that.
Yeah.
You're having such a great time. The atmosphere is great. The food's great. The wines, everything's great. You're willing to do that.
It's not even about the restaurant. You look at home. You know, you're home with your family. Yeah. Food brings you together.
Yeah. Yes.
And you guys need to come to this. I don't even know if y'all heard about this. Is my Sunday suppers. Okay, so
I've seen dinners at your place on Instagram, so that you shared.
So I've been doing this for about 8 years, 10 years, close to 8 years now. Last Sunday of every month.
My stomach's starting to.
Last Sunday of every month, we throw a dinner at Nick and Sam's. And the reason I started it is for my chefs. My chefs to kind of flex their muscles and say, hey, cook whatever you want to cook. So we do different types of themes. So the last one we did was Kids Food Elevated, which was this past Sunday. I've done Indian food. We've done barbecue. We've done all kinds of stuff. So basically we charge $80 a person, all the food and all the wine you can drink. But I do it a little different.
Wait, hold on.
Ben's over here like.
Did you just say $80 a person? All the food, all the wine you can drink?
Yes.
Wow.
And by the way, if you're listening, it's invite only. Sorry, you're not invited.
We're sold out for the next 10 years.
You're not invited.
No, it's, and we do a community table.
Yeah.
So you're sitting with people you don't know.
Wow.
And it's amazing to see how the night progresses. We start at 7 and we're normally done by 8:30, 8:45. But people are having a good time. You get to know people that you never met before. I've seen people who have met there before and now come together all the time. So it's food does great things.
Yes. My wife's Italian. And so it was a concept. I mean, my family ate dinner together, but it wasn't the like, hey, we're going to cook and we're going to be here talking for 2.5 hours. For me, it was like, I'm the Michael Irvin, right? Like I'm eating like I'm in prison. Like I got all these brothers and sisters. If I don't eat it, it's going to be gone. So I didn't savor food until later in life. And then I met Tiffany, and her family is Zerpoli, and her family, like, it's just an event every single night. Everybody's helping in the kitchen. Everybody's cooking. The whole spread is out, and they're literally like, that's where they do life together.
Yes.
Like that's where the conversations happen.
The day before Christmas Eve, the Feast of Seven Fishes the Italians do is just amazing. You cook 7 different types of fish all night long. And they'll cook the one piece of fish, and they'll all sit down and have it together, and then they'll go their separate ways in the house, do other things, and then they come back 45 minutes, an hour later, and do the second piece of fish. And I've experienced it once, and it was amazing.
Yeah, you said it, Tyler. 3 of your best playing memories revolved around food, more specifically Nick and Sam.
Yeah.
But I think about my life. Some of my greatest memories, food was involved somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And my family was like Tiffany. We aren't Italian, but 3 brothers, 2 parents. We didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't go out to eat. Like if you went out to eat, that was special.
Yeah.
So how did we replicate that? We did it at home. Everybody's working. Everybody's around the table, and we did no TV, no distractions. You're sitting there talking to each other. You're getting to know about each other. But that's what it sounds like the atmosphere you guys have created. And I've experienced this, but it's, hey, there's no distractions here. Cell phones are away. Like we're getting to know each other.
Yeah, I would say that you walk through, unless someone's taking a picture of the food or, the balloons that are lit up or the presentation, unless someone's taking, you walk through there and you don't see people on their phones because, and like you go in the bar, it's loud. It's loud because they've got music, but it's people are talking. Mm-hmm. And then you go into the dining room, you talk about energy, like there's energy. Yeah. And that's what it should be, right? People are in there. People are excited to be there. They're excited either to get to know people, to do deals. I can't imagine the deals that are inked. Yeah. In the dining room.
We've been blessed to be known as, hey, you want to close a deal? Let's go to Nick and Sam's.
100%. I turned my buddy onto it, and he's like in the medical sales profession. And so now, like, almost all of his dinners are at Nick and Sam's. Yeah. He's trying to close a doctor, like win a new client. It's like, all right, we're going to Nick and Sam's.
Man,
I'm thinking about charging a little corporate.
Seriously, you should be getting.
Imagine if you just say, hey, look, dude, I'm just give me a 10% referral fee for every new doctor that just ongoing.
All right, what's your? This may be a dumb question. It probably is a dumb question, but like your food, like if you had one food to cook, like what's your go-to
for yourself?
For yourself, like if you're just like, I just want to create something magical here. What is it for you?
I don't cook for myself.
No.
Really?
I'll cook for my friends. I'll cook for my family. Listen, Monday night, my son had a friend over. We invited a couple other people, and I made some steak and some sides and stuff like that, and I ordered a chips burger.
Really?
I love other people cooking for me.
Okay.
People are so intimidated to invite me to their house because we don't know what they're going to cook for you. Shit, I go to McDonald's and late night, on a Friday night after I'm drinking at the bar and they can
That's amazing.
No, I love when people cook for me. My favorite meals I like going to is dim sum. I don't know if you ever had dim sum. Uh-huh. I love going to dim sum on Sundays and I enjoy it. I love Asian food. I love to cook Asian food, but I'll never cook it for myself.
Huh. Okay. So you've obviously created some of the best food on the planet, but if you were to go traveling, you said dim sum, but if you were to say, all right, I could go anywhere and have any type of food, like what would that like style of food be, whether Italian, ethnicity wise, what would it be? And then what would the plate be?
I don't know what the plate would be, but I want to go to China.
Okay.
I'm dying. I've always loved Chinese food, and it's just getting to know more and more about the different regions in China, the different types of food from Szechuan region to the other region. It intrigues me, and I want to go there and really experience it there.
I'm the same with Chinese food. My fear is that like I love Americanized Chinese food, and so I haven't gotten deep into the research. I'm sure like you, where it's like I love. There's a spot in Plano that's really
China
good.
King.
Rice pot.
I hit a buffet up anytime.
There's a place in Plano on Plano Parkway over. Oh my gosh, I just blanked on the name. I'll tell you offline. But
yeah, it's amazing.
I would say it's just a finer Chinese restaurant. But I'm with you. Like I could eat Asian food 7 nights a week between Japanese and Chinese. I could eat it 7 nights a week.
Well, that's the other thing about food is every culture has their different style,
Culture, and then regions within that culture.
Right. It's just such a.
It's like today. I went to work around 6 because I'm cooking Indian food for somebody for a tasting for Saturday for a guest. So that's what makes it so much fun. You don't have to cook steak every day.
Yeah.
You know, I get to cook anything I want, and anything that's the beauty about being a chef.
Yeah.
You know, and not many people can say that, because I can walk in there and make it really special.
Yeah.
For myself and for whoever I'm cooking for.
Well, you get to be creative. You get to. It's an art form.
Yeah.
It's
just
edible
like,
art.
You know, at one time, you got to go out on the field and play football. You know, it's just people. You look at it as, hey, it's just another game, you know. But it's a lot of people look at it as, wow, he's getting to create, he's getting to do things, and it makes it's so much more fun doing that when you're walking in there.
Okay, so one thing that for me personally, I've been in since transitioning out of football. I've been kind of grind mode for I guess 5 years now, a little over 5 years. In like the corporate, like the real estate world. And I've been doing that, and it's been grind, and there's good moments, there's bad moments. But one of the things that I feel like I've neglected is that just quiet time. And I would think, is that something that's important to you to say, look, I've got to take a step back, and I've just got to go kind of clear my mind from the grind and like get those creative juices going again? Because if you're going to create something, I'm sure you're working with your chefs, but like, okay, I've got to create some space that I can think of something new and unique to add to the menu to continue to evolve. Is that something that you do, or is it, hey, just we're going, and if it comes up, it comes up?
I think more so I see stuff, and that like energizes me.
Yeah.
We were in San Francisco, me and my wife, another couple, having dinner, and couple next to us orders dessert, and there comes this small little bowl of cotton candy. And Lori, my wife, looks at me and she goes, "You can do better than that." I said, "I know I can do better than that." And that's how I created the cotton candy.
Yeah.
You know, it's
inspiration.
Yeah, your little bowl.
It's,
we do 2-foot hot dogs, and we're gonna do a much better cotton candy.
I go to different websites. If I have free minute at work, I'll go on the computer. I'll look at what's happening in New York. I'll look at what's happening in Chicago, what's in LA, what restaurants are opening up, what people are doing. And sometimes you get stuck in that box in work. And you know, that's why I need the help from my purveyors to come to me and say, hey, this is out there. You know, come and show us what's out there. Show us the new things. But I get inspiration from other people, from what other people are doing. Not necessarily copy them, but hey, what are they doing with this? You know, let me try something different. I was making pastrami for a guest one day, and my chef next to me was cutting ribeyes for service. And I said, you know what, give me one of those ribeyes. So I put it in the pastrami brine and kind of cold smoked it just like you do pastrami, and we tried it out. And pastrami ribeye came
on the menu.
Did you know that was going to work out?
No, I didn't. I thought, let me just take a chance. You know, let me see. And, you know, we tried it and it came out great.
Wow.
So it's just little things like that. You never know where you're going to find inspiration.
Has anything flopped before?
Oh, a lot of things have flopped. Oh, a lot of things.
What's a memorable
And
flop?
it's like, you know what? Guys at work are so nice, they won't say anything to me.
You write their checks, man.
I know, but
Chef, it's good. It's really good.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe
it's
let's
not.
wait till not next month, but the month after to put it back on.
I tried to make these potato churros the other day, and I know Chef John was looking at me saying, yeah, they're good. I said, they're not good.
Man, that's awesome.
So, walk us through as we're starting to kind of wrap this up. I mean, what I see and experience of Nick and Sam's is incredible. But there's obviously, you mentioned the pandemic was a challenge. Early on was a challenge. You came as a chef and you had ownership that brought you in as a chef. You have grown within that and into an ownership role of that company. Walk us through what that transition was, because I think at some point you're like, all right, I think I've added enough value and I think that my worth is enough to start this conversation. Walk us through that transition from just being a chef into ownership.
Well, initially when I was brought in, they gave us like a percentage,
Okay.
1%. A percentage of anything is just a percent till
Yeah.
you actually start making money.
Yeah.
You know, we
Right.
really didn't make a lot of money in the beginning. I think I worked hard where I grew myself from 1 to 2 and then, you know, over a little bit more now at 10%. I think you got to work hard for it.
Yeah.
You just, I think you got to show what you can do. Have I put everything I have into this restaurant? No. I think I can. I have a lot more to offer. I want to do other things. I want to make sure that this restaurant is hopefully the best restaurant ever that people
Yeah.
go to. And you know what? We don't do that every day. You know, because there's always a pocket of people that didn't like it or thought it was just okay.
Yeah.
And it irks me
Yeah.
when I hear that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to do to make it better.
Yeah, our line of work, you can screw something up, but it's not usually blown up into a big deal. You're getting your ass handed to you by thousands of people
If
weekly.
you come in and have a bad experience, you're going to tell 5 other friends, don't
Right.
go there.
Right.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want that to happen. So, you know, I try to make sure that we call everybody. We have so many people coming through it's hard to reach out to everybody, but make a few phone calls, go and touch every table, ask the right questions. You know, those are the things that are going to make us better and make their experience better. You know, it's just these little things matter. And, you know, I have a group of people that believe in that culture. And just recently, I was fortunate enough, my owners came to me and offered me more percentage. And, you know, and I declined it. And I said, hey, what I'd like to do is give 3 people in the restaurant a little percentage.
Wow.
And I gave my general manager, my beverage director, and my chef, we gave them a little profit sharing.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I want them to feel, I want them to think and feel, I want them to think as an owner, and now you are an owner.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So I want to do bigger and better things. I'd like to do a couple more different concepts in town. But, you know, Nick and Sam's is my baby.
Yeah.
I got to protect my baby. You
That's
know,
a
these
big
guys
part of your life.
hopefully-
And you protect it with the right people. And you
Yes.
and like you said, giving them ownership, it's a different perspective than, hey, I'm just a chef or I'm just a general manager. Like when you can say when you're telling somebody what you do and you say my restaurant, that's different than saying, oh yeah, I work at Nick and Sam's and I'm a manager at Nick and Sam's. It's like, hey,
You start thinking a little differently.
Yeah.
When your money is involved.
Yeah.
You know?
As we close this out, you've got an exciting project you're working on right now.
we've got really 2 exciting adventures.
Tell us what you can about, you know, the future.
I think your catering and where that sprung from, and then
Well, a few months ago, middle of last year, really, Philip Romano came up to me and said he had a spot down in the design district, which is a catering kitchen, and the person in there had left, and he said, "Hey, Samir, do you want it?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, I've always wanted to do catering." The reason being is Nick and Sam's has always been a little stigma to say, oh, Samir does steak really well. Let's go somewhere else for something.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that I can do anything and everything, from Asian food to Mexican food to Indian food, and it's been great so far. It's called Savor by Samir, and I got a great crew, great chef, great person to run the place. It's slowly but surely we're growing. So that's been a good
Congratulations.
And testament to that is Samir and his team. They did an event for us actually at our house a couple weeks back, and it was incredible to see, right? Different entity, different but same touch that Samir, the impact that he's left on Nick and Sam's is the same that he's bringing into this catering company. So, you know, the manager that was there on site, Samir actually came up and checked on it just to make sure everything was good. You guys have everything. We live in Oklahoma, so we know how big of a deal that is.
I was going to say, that's huge. That's huge. He drove all the way up there.
But his team, I mean, it was just off the charts, and it was incredible. And I know you've done some other catering events. I think even prior to Savor opening,
We've always catered. Yes.
yeah, done some stuff, and it was I'm sure just the demand was there. It's like, all right, we really want to, you know, blow the roof off this thing. We're going to get Samir to cater it. So now official, you've got it all set up. So Savor by Samir, if you are throwing an event, I mean, what would you say like the ideal number of people would be?
As little as 4, as many as 400, whatever you want. We can make it happen.
That's awesome.
It's phenomenal. All right, so then now we got into your journey, but if somebody wanted to listen to or read or learn more about Samir's journey to where he's at today, what's in the works?
Book. I'm excited to say, hopefully in the next few months, I'll have my book out. And I was fortunate enough to have a couple of great people help me kind of bring the book together. That's obviously Phil Romano, number one, kind of pushed me to do the book. Number two, Dirk Nowitzki was kind enough to write the foreword to it.
No big deal.
No big deal. Hall of Famer.
But I've been struggling for a long time on what the title should be. So, and Luka was kind enough to give me the title. So
it's my son Luka, by the way, that you're talking about.
No, that's Luka Doncic.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good book. It's has a few recipes in there, but it's more about it's just some fun stuff you'll that I've experienced in Nick and Sam's, experienced in my life, and a lot about what we talked about today.
And that releases couple months, you said?
Hopefully in a few months.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Food has always been something that's fascinating me. Cooking's been fascinating to me. It's something that I'm not good at it, but I enjoy doing it. And so I was super excited to have you in here and talk about this. I think the wind changed or something in here because I keep getting the whiffs of this cake.
It's right at us.
So we got to wrap this thing up so we can cut into it. But no, man, this was so much fun. This is awesome. Exceeded what I hoped. You know, the restaurant world is a challenging world, but you've been crushing it for, a long time now. And it was really cool to get to know not only your story, but just how it all works.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for coming on, but just thank you for what you do for the city and, the area of DFW. I mean, so many people have made memories. So many people have experienced, the highest level of food consumption. And but really though, like the camaraderie, I mean, again, I wouldn't have many of the friends that I have if it wasn't on the level that it is, if it wasn't for Nick and Sam's and what you do and just to take care of us. And, just the fact that my wife would text and be like, hey, we've got this event. I mean, you answered right back, checked in, followed up. I mean, that's restaurateurs, chefs. Like, I don't know if you think that it's common, but my experience as a consumer, it's not common. And so just thank you for what you do for our community. And man, we are a lucky city to have you here.
You guys are too nice. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man.
Again, Savor by Samir. Keep an eye out for the book. We're going to keep the title secret right now.
Get yourself to Nick and Sam's.
It's got the Luka touch to it. And get down to Nick and Sam's.
Mother's Day's coming up.
Come on.
I don't know if you guys are already booked out, but
big Mother's Day buffet.
Yeah. There you go.
Brunch.
There you go. So if you're local here in DFW, even if you're not,
and
fly yourself in, get yourself.
Order I'm going to answer my opinion, but no. If
Yeah,
you
Tyler,
go to Nick and Sam's, if you go to
Give
Nick and
us your-
Sam's and you order one thing,
Give us your rundown, Tyler. What are you getting?
well,
I wanna hear from you.
No matter what, you have to get the best damn fries.
Well, yeah, for
you
sure.
have to. That's a no brainer. The other thing that I would say that I brag about the most, that I look forward to, is probably the lobster tempura. I don't know why I've always like over the top.
Oh, the fried lobster.
The fried lobster. Sorry, not tempura. Fried lobster, and I like the Asian sauce. I know you do the buffalo.
Kung Pao. We do the Kung Pao and the buffalo and the Szechuan.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So that's my favorite. The steaks,
Yeah.
crazy.
So basically, you're saying just order one of everything.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You honestly can't. But also the sushi. I mentioned it earlier. The sushi
Sushi's really good.
is next level. Next level.
All right.
But okay,
We're
if you were to tell someone, all right, hey, starter, entree, dessert.
It's like picking between your kids, man.
I
You
know,
can't do
really.
that.
Oh, we're doing it.
Warm crab roll to start.
Okay.
Chateaubriand for dinner. Au gratin potatoes with Chateaubriand. Probably the baked Alaska for dinner, for dessert.
Okay.
Baked Alaskan.
Baked Alaska, the s'mores baked Alaska.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You heard it from the horse himself, even though he doesn't like horses. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Samir,
right.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
everything you do, and Ben cannot wait to dig into that
Yeah.
cake.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Samir.
you. Thank you.